Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I saw it opening night, and we're going to talk about it. We're also going to compare it to the comics and see what the future holds. And this review is going to be mostly spoiler-free. There's a lot of twists and turns in the story in the movie that I really don't want to spoil for people. It's definitely best experienced in the theater for the first time. I am going to touch on the plot lightly, but not go into too many details. So if you haven't seen the movie yet and you care about spoilers, you're okay to watch this review. At the end, I am going to talk about the after-credit scene, so that section will have spoilers. If you're not familiar with the Guardians of the Galaxy universe in the comic books, you may not catch the significance of how important those end credit scenes were. So I'm definitely going to go over those in great detail. I find these Guardians of the Galaxy movies fascinating. I love it when we get movies based on characters that aren't so mainstream, like your Batman or your Spider-Man. I've always loved those characters that aren't anywhere near as recognizable to the general public. And oftentimes, they have some of the coolest stories. And before the first movie came out, the Guardians of the Galaxy comics, they were not well known at all. I mean, putting the general public aside that doesn't read a comic book ever, even among comic book fans, the Guardians of the Galaxy weren't well known. So Marvel took a huge risk with this movie. A comic involving aliens, talking tree, and a trigger-happy raccoon. It sounds ridiculous, but they somehow made an incredibly successful movie out of it.
Now I'm standing. You all happy? We're all standing up now. Bunch of jackasses standing in a circle.
I actually think that Guardians of the Galaxy is Marvel's most important franchise. I'll explain what I mean by that. Before Thor came out, these movies were semi-realistic. I mean, at least as realistic as a comic book movie can be. And since then, Marvel's taken some huge steps, introducing moviegoers to the larger Marvel universe. Thor showed us that gods and mythological beings are part of this universe. Doctor Strange took a step into magic and other dimensions. We're slowly getting all the bits and pieces of the extended Marvel universe in movie form. In the comic books, Earth and all the big superheroes, they're all just a small part of the whole. There's so many huge stories and terrifying threats that have nothing to do with Earth and the Avengers, so I love the fact that we're seeing the enormous cosmic side of Marvel. And Guardians of the Galaxy is the bridge that connects Earth and the Avengers to all this craziness in space. As far as movies go, I don't believe in perfect movies. I always think there's room to find something that a movie could have done better. Even if the movie was outstanding, there's always something you can find where, they could have done this a little better, or I didn't really like this part of the movie. But I was sitting here trying to think of what to say for this review. I can't think of anything about this movie I didn't like. Now, I'm still not going to come out and say that it's a perfect movie, because I don't like to call anything perfect, but I can't really think of anything. It was all around an awesome experience. My favorite two things about the movie, though, are the story and the character development. These are the two areas where Guardians 2 surpassed the first movie. In the first movie, the story involved Ronan trying to use the Power Stone to destroy Xandar, home of the Nova Corps, and the Guardians stopped him. In Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, the threat is so much bigger where literally every planet and every life form is in danger. So the Guardians of the Galaxy really live up to their name this time around. The core of the story involves Star-Lord meeting his father, as every single trailer has completely spoiled. So much of the movie is spent on their backstory and their relationship while giving us a lot of surprises along the way. The storyline's completely different from the comics, but I found it so interesting because they essentially mesh together his actual father from the comics and a very different take on Ego, the living planet, to come up with Kurt Russell's character. So I went into the theater not knowing what to expect out of him. The pacing of the story was really well balanced too. The parts involving Star-Lord and his father don't have a lot of action because they're trying to build up that story. But it kept me from getting bored because when they did have these slower parts in the movie, we would go to another set of characters that were doing something more exciting, and then we would cut back to that part of the movie to continue developing that part of the story. So there was just this perfect balance and play where it just kept the audience engaged and entertained. And the opening scene of the movie, it's the best opening I've ever seen in a Marvel movie. It just instantly grabs your attention, and the entire audience was laughing and the theater was in. This movie is just over the top in so many ways, and that's what I feel it needed to be. It was hilarious throughout, but it was also serious when it needed to be. It was action-packed when it needed to be, and it had some genuinely sad parts in it too. And after we got out of the movie, I was talking with my fiancé about this, and we were discussing which one we like better, 1 or 2, because they both ended up being great movies, and I had a really hard time deciding. But I did come to a decision. I do like Guardians of the Galaxy 2 slightly better for one reason. Since the Marvel movies started, they've all been connecting together and building a story in the background involving all these Infinity Stones appearing throughout different movies. Eventually, the Mad Titan Thanos is going to somehow get his hands on all of those. And he's going to wield the Infinity Gauntlet, which controls all their powers, making him one of the most powerful beings in the entire universe. And most of these Marvel movies have one of these Infinity Stones central to the plot. Malekith was obsessed with getting his hands on the Reality Stone in Thor 2. Hydra used the Space Stone to power all their weapons in Captain America. And it really is great when they connect all these stories together to tell a larger story. But Guardians of the Galaxy 2 didn't need to focus on the Infinity Stones to tell its story. It's completely self-contained from start to finish. So the fact that they made another good Guardians of the Galaxy movie without having to connect it to the rest of the pieces pushed it slightly above the first movie for me. And the first movie introduced us to all these characters, and they did a great job developing them and bringing them together as a team by the end. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 takes that even further and makes them feel like a family. We do have a new character in the form of Mantis, and her powers are really unique, and they allowed for some hilarious moments.
If I touch someone, I can feel their feelings. You feel love.
Yeah, I feel a general unselfish love for just about everybody.
No, sexual love.
No, I don't.
For her.
No.
I was surprised to see her make it into the movie too, because in the comics she's had a crazy history. She started out as a Marvel character, she moved to DC, to Eclipse, to Image, then she moved back to Marvel again, so she's been all over the place. Drax was especially over the top this time around, and every time he was on screen was a treat. When he read his lines, the audience was laughing hysterically. And of course, Baby Groot was outstanding. He's this cute little tree in his baby stage, so he has a hard time understanding directions, but at the same time, he's extremely dangerous.
Don't push this button. Because that will set off the bomb immediately and we'll all be dead.
I am Groot.
No! No, that's the button that will kill everyone! Try again.
I am Groot. I am Groot.
Uh-huh.
I'm Groot.
No!
We also get to explore the relationship between Gamora and Nebula a bit deeper, and you start to really understand why she's so angry at Gamora, and why her motivations are what they are. And Yondu got a surprising amount of character development. He ended up being one of my favorite characters, and he actually had one of the best scenes in the entire movie. Now let's talk about those after credit scenes. This is the part where there's going to be some spoilers. So one more warning, spoilers. There's 5 scenes during the credits. I'm just going to talk about 3 of them, because 3 of them were the only ones that were really important to the story and the future of the franchise. The other 2 were just funny little scenes that didn't have a whole lot of meaning to them. If you're not necessarily into comic books, you may not have really caught what character Sylvester Stallone was playing, especially since he wasn't really in the movie all that much. He just appeared here and there for really short scenes. He was actually playing the MCU version of the cosmic superhero Starhawk. At the end, we see him standing with another group of characters who altogether form the original Guardians of the Galaxy team. So this could have some important meaning in the future. Are they going to eventually replace the Guardians of the Galaxy we know? Are they going to join them? We don't know yet, but that was a really cool nod to the comics. And that fish guy that you see standing with them that was forming kind of like a symbol with his hands out of nothing, that looked like something right out of Doctor Strange. Well, it was. His name's Krugar, and he knows how to tap into the world of magic. And in the comics, he also replaced Doctor Strange as the Sorcerer Supreme in an alternate future in the Marvel Universe. So this is another connection to the magic side of the Marvel Universe that Doctor Strange introduced. We also have this after credits scene where Stan Lee is hanging out with the Watchers, who are finally introduced in the MCU, and he's telling them all these stories about his adventures on Earth and all the things he's seen. The Watchers are a race of beings that watch important events unfolding throughout the galaxy, but they have a rule which says they can't interfere. They just watch and they record history as it happens. Although one of them, Uatu, is constantly breaking the rules and helping the people of Earth. Well, Stan Lee is an agent of the Watchers. Throughout all his little appearances in all the movies, he's played the same character, silently watching events unfold and reporting those events back to the Watchers. Across movies, this is quite possibly the best Easter egg I've seen in any movie ever. All these little insignificant cameos actually had a meaning to them. It's funny because this was actually a fan theory that's been floating around on the internet for years, and they confirmed it with this movie. And the most important credit scene is the one where we see Aisha sitting around upset that she couldn't defeat the Guardians of the Galaxy and she's exhausted all her resources. And she reveals that she's created some kind of weapon that'll destroy them. And we get a glimpse of some kind of mechanical cocoon that's cooking up some sort of powerful creation that she calls Adam. Well, this Adam is Adam Warlock, and that's a huge deal. This character has played a huge role in the Marvel Universe, and he has a central part of the whole Infinity Gauntlet storyline. Now, in the comics, he was a genetically engineered human that was made on Earth, so this origin is a little different, but the fact that he's coming into the MCU is exciting as hell. It is already confirmed that he's not going to be in Infinity War. It sounds like he's just going to be some kind of powerful weapon that's going to be used to fight the Guardians of the Galaxy, maybe in Volume 3. We're just going to have to wait and see how he's involved in the future. So if you saw this movie and you didn't understand the significance of these after credit scenes, hopefully that does help you a bit. I can't recommend this movie enough. And I actually saw it in a theater that had the new 4DX technology. The movie was in 3D and the ticket was like $20, but it was worth it. It's not something I would pay for regularly, but for that every once in a while huge blockbuster movie with a ton of special effects and action scenes, it made a much more immersive experience. It was hilarious because it was kind of like a theme park attraction. When there's a lot of action, they're flying around everywhere in the movie, the seats are moving up and down, bouncing. You see everyone's heads bobbing up and down in the theater, popcorn's flying everywhere, beer spilling all over the place. There's strobe lights that flash during the movie if there's lightning. When they're shooting a bunch of laser cannons in the movie, you've got little air blasts shooting at you from behind the seat. There's water sprinkling on you during scenes. It's insane and it's ridiculous, but if I said it didn't make the movie more fun, I'd be lying. Some people might see it as gimmicky, but I mean, if you see those things as gimmicky, then, I mean, go to the regular theater. It's not for everybody. But personally, I pay so much to go to movies to have an experience that's different than what's possible for me to have in the comfort of my own home. So it was well worth checking out. I mean, if you have a 4DX theater around you, I would recommend seeing Guardians of the Galaxy 2 in it. Even if it's the only movie you see in 4DX, try it out. But I hope you all enjoyed this review. If you did, leave me a like down below and leave me your thoughts. If you did see this movie, what did you like better? Did you like Guardians of the Galaxy better, or did you like Volume 2 better? And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Click the little box for notifications so you don't miss any of my videos. And follow me on social media. This is Fabian. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time.
So we're saving the galaxy again?
Yep.
Awesome! We're really gonna be able to jack up our prices if we're two-time galaxy savers.
Yes!